So what is Hinduism? You'd think that'd be a simple question, right? But honestly, it's one of the toughest to answer. We're talking about one of the world's oldest, most complex spiritual traditions. So how in the world do you define a faith that's less like a straight road and more like a massive mountain with countless different paths leading to the top?
And yeah, that's really the central challenge here. I mean, you've got over 1 billion followers, it's the third largest religion on the planet, and yet it just doesn't fit into the neat little boxes we usually have for defining a faith. Think about it. There's no single founder, no single sacred book that everyone agrees on, and no, central church or authority telling everyone what to believe.
This quote from India's Supreme Court just nails it. It basically says, hey, instead of thinking about Hinduism as our religion with a bunch of rigid rules, think of it as a way of life. And that idea, it's absolutely crucial. It's a theme we're going to come back to over and over again in this explainer. And that's exactly why people often call it a family of religions. It's a great way to put it. Don't picture a single perfect tree. Instead, picture a huge, ancient, interconnected forest. It's really this giant umbrella term that covers an incredible mix of traditions and philosophies that have been growing and evolving on the Indian subcontinent for thousands and thousands of years. Okay, so if we're calling it a way of life, then the next logical question is, what's the point of that life? What is it all aiming for? Well, at its very core, Hinduism gives you a kind of roadmap for a fulfilling life, something that taps into that universal human search for meaning. And this whole thing is built around 4 main goals. These are called the Purusharthas. And what's so cool about them is that they show how Hinduism really gets the full spectrum of what it means to be human. It's not just about spirituality. You've got Dharma, that's all about living a good, ethical life. Then there's Artha, which is about prosperity and success in the world. You've got Kama, that's desire, passion, enjoying the pleasures of life. And then at the very end, there's Moksha, the ultimate goal of spiritual freedom. All right, let's start with the foundation, which is Dharma. Now, you often hear it translated as duty, but it's kind of selling it short. It's so much bigger. Think of it as the right way of living. It's the moral compass that keeps everything in balance, both for you and for society. Basically, Dharma is the container for everything else. Go ahead, pursue wealth, enjoy life's pleasures, but do it all within the bounds of what's right and ethical. And then we get to the top of the mountain, Moksha. This is the big one. This is the ultimate spiritual goal. To be totally liberated, to be free from suffering, and from this cycle that we're just about to get into. It's the final release, the end of the long, long journey. So I just mentioned a cycle, right? What is this cycle that moksha is supposed to free you from? Well, to get that, we've got to look at the underlying mechanics of existence in Hindu philosophy. You could almost call them the rules of the cosmic game. Okay, so this cycle is called samsara. The best way to picture it is like a giant cosmic Ferris wheel. It's this continuous loop of birth, life, death, and then rebirth. And your soul, what's called the Atman, is on this incredibly long journey, riding that wheel through countless different lifetimes and forms. So what keeps this cosmic wheel spinning? What's the engine? Well, that would be karma. You've heard the word, but here's what it really means. It's the universal law of cause and effect. And here's the crucial part. It's not just about what you do. It's about the intent behind what you do. Every action, every thought creates these ripples that shape your current life and set the stage for your next one. Okay, so let's recap. We've got the goals of life, and we've got the cosmic rules of the game. So, how do you actually win? How do you achieve moksha and finally hop off that wheel of samsara? Well, true to form, Hinduism doesn't say, here's the one and only way. Nope. Instead, it offers you a choice of paths. These paths are called yogas, and not just the stretching kind. Think of them as different routes to the same destination, designed for different types of people. Are you a very emotional, heart-centered person? There's bhakti yoga, the path of devotion and love. More of a doer, someone who likes to get things done? There's karma yoga, the path of selfless action. Are you more introspective and analytical? Then you might like Raja yoga, the path of meditation. And if you're a thinker, a questioner, there's jnana yoga, the path of knowledge. The main point here is incredible. There's no single right way. It's about finding the path that works for you. And this whole idea of many paths doesn't just stop with how you practice. It goes way deeper, right into the understanding of God and reality itself. And this is where things get, well, even more diverse and fascinating. This brings us right back to that family of religions idea. You see, within Hinduism, there are major traditions or denominations. You have Vaishnavism, which focuses on the god Vishnu. You have Shaivism, which centers on Shiva.
And you have Shaktism, which venerates the divine as a goddess, as female energy. But what's so important to understand is that for the most part, these aren't seen as rival teams. They're seen as different windows, all looking out at the very same ultimate reality.
And it's not just the gods, the core philosophy is just as diverse. On one hand, you have a monistic view. This is the idea that your individual soul, the Atman, is actually one and the same as the ultimate reality, or Brahman. To put it bluntly, you are God. But then, on the other hand, you have dualistic views which say no, your soul and God are separate. And in that case, the whole point is to build a relationship with the divine through love and devotion.
Now, get ready for this, because this quote from Gandhi blows a lot of people's minds. He said, "A man may not believe in God and still call himself a Hindu." Let that sink in. You can be an atheist and still be considered a Hindu. I mean, what does that tell you? It shows that for many, this tradition puts more weight on how you live your life, on your dharma, than on what you believe about God.
So with all this incredible diversity, this ability to adapt and hold so many different views, it's no wonder that many Hindus actually prefer a different name for their own tradition. A name that really captures this timeless, ever-evolving spirit. And that name is Sanātana Dharma. It translates to something like the eternal way or the eternal truth, and this term, it gets right to the heart of why Hinduism is so tricky to pin down. It's not seen as a religion that was founded at a specific moment in history by one person. Instead, it's seen as this collection of eternal truths that have always existed and are just constantly being rediscovered and reinterpreted by people, generation after generation.
So, if there's just one thing you take away from all of this, let it be this. Hinduism isn't some static, ancient relic set in stone. It's a living, breathing, constantly evolving way of life that has been adapting for thousands of years. Which, of course, leaves us with a really fascinating final thought. As this eternal way continues to move forward, what new shapes and expressions do you think it might take in the future?